Well, kind of hell of a transition. Uh, Used to probably like looking at a car or something, but just being a talking head in the background. There's no format to this. I don't even think I'm gonna monetize this video. It's just off the cuff. Off just my brain is pretty chaotic, so I just sit here and just like talk to myself a lot in here anyway. Kind of aimless, totally off the cuff. I had a commenter on one of my videos that sparked an ongoing, I guess maybe it's like a first world problem, moral dilemma, however you want to call it. Is your work quality, your value. People tend to inquire about, well, how much you charge for a particular job. In this one in particular, it was the Lexus, the LS460. I think that's what it was. I put the starter on. But there's a couple things I just don't answer. Like some things, if people ask questions and it has absolutely nothing to do with the topic, I try to stay on topic. Try to treat those jobs that I service like case studies, just in case other people come in, chime in, learn from mistakes. Because I do make a lot of mistakes. I just don't upload them, or I do, or I edit them out. Either way, mistakes happen. I make them. I do. I am very transparent when it comes to that. But my total intentions with the videos were to help people. If somebody has an issue, create a network channel with other mechanics, chiming in, helping others. But the industry, just everything just kind of seemed to be cutthroat. It seemed like a finalization video, like I'm ending thing. This is totally not that. But it seemed like every mechanic in it is for himself, and I don't blame him. Because just existing just in the world, just in general, is very competitive, whether it be women trying to make money, being attractive, shaking their ass, whether it be a man trying to I'm not saying we rob people, but, so we do tend to rob people, but whether it be a man trying to, create a business, work for somebody else, whatever, it goes both ways. The sexes there it's competition everywhere. But in this particular field, this is obviously what I do. I talk to a lot of mechanics. Everybody have their own prices. Everybody have their own qualities. I guess everybody have their own niche. From the mobile mechanics I talk to, I don't even say I talk to well-established people, but the classes that I go to, because I do periodically take courses, and O'Reilly's offer those. Since y'all know I frequently deal with them, you can check if you have a commercial account. They do have classes, and I only see the same handful of people there in most cases who are very enthusiastic about learning. And the course say, we're not there to learn how to fix cars. We're just learning how to diagnose and identify the problem, which is true. And they say a lot of people are like parts changers, which I do believe. And sometimes some particular cases call for that, where we just have to throw apart a car. I guess after going through a process of deduction, hoping that we actually legitimately narrow it down for the one or two things. But between the courses I've been through, seeing the same similar faces, I have not had a one-on-one conversation with those people. Most techs I generally talk to, I'm not gonna, don't take this wrong, but like low level. They're not. I don't want to say mediocre, but people that generally change parts. I rarely talk to people who have very intricate case studies. I mean, like one-on-one, besides, not counting online. You see these people that have these very elaborate, detailed videos. And This is just a whole nother form of competition online as it is. And it's even for what I do with the videos that I have. I mean, I'm in competition with other men, other people who were dishing out diagnostic videos. It's very competitive. What did they say? Only like 6% of people are monetized on the internet. I think that's right. On YouTube, I think that's the number. So I think it's like 6 out of 100 people are getting paid through YouTube. I mean, there are legitimately some people who dish out videos regularly that don't get paid through YouTube. That don't, and that's crazy. But again, it's another form of competition. Same thing in the real world with gaining clientele. You know, it's just such a dynamic when it comes to gaining people. Well, what kind of clients do you want? People that just walk up to you requesting that you replace parts and you do? Do you want people who are like, I just do the referral service. I can't deal with multiple personalities. Like I just refer people, somebody. They have good like personalities. I want that. I've had my times of negative interaction with certain people, and having to intimately deal with people one-on-one and be in charge of your own revenue, you become, I don't want to call it jaded to a certain extent, but the 1 step forward, 2 step back generally applies here when it comes to enthusiasm of helping people. I'm kind of aimless, but I say it to say, you know, what is the individual worth when it comes to like working on cars? Because that one car that I'm referring to, the video with the LS460, when I put the starter on, that took a long time. Now, I didn't upload a video that I had to go over a second time because it was a warranty replacement. The guy paid, I would consider a higher than normal price that the average person would do it. But you have to take consideration of the convenience. There's a warranty. That video, after I did that, he had to come back 7 days later, and I had to put a starter back on that car. Now, I managed to do that without pulling the manifold off, and it didn't take that long. I zipped right through it. But mind you, when I went through it the first time, I did take care of anything that I would have to potentially remove in the future to make it easy for myself and the next person. So I zipped right through it. And I didn't have to take the alternator out. Went right through it. It was a breeze. So you can take that off and not pull the alternator, but I do pay for a labor guide. I do use Identifix, which is a source of information. And I see a lot of mechanics don't use that. Maybe there'll be a story like in the future, you know, when I tend to socialize with a lot of mechanics, you know, I ask them like, well, what source do you use? Well, I just use Google. I just use YouTube, which is fine, you know, but when it comes to pricing yourself accordingly, you have to have a labor guide instead of just willy-nilly just charging people. I mean, I did that a long time ago, and trust me, it's already hard enough to try to figure out what's going on with a car, especially with the complexity of these vehicles today. When you do have information, imagine not having any information. These forums don't even tell you everything that goes on. You'll read about a vehicle having a misfire, and next thing you know, you're talking about your tires being flat. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But I digress. So, you know, the individual's worth, we got to have labor guides. When I did that car, I got to pee. Hold on. Gosh, it's like freezing here. And I ran out of kerosene. I peed on myself. No, I didn't. Anyway, but I went to I think I left off. I think I'm leaving off or starting off where I left off. But I went to the parts store, and one of the guys that were in there was a common mechanic I see. And he does change parts. He's not like really enthusiastic about diagnosing vehicles. His customers pretty much dictate his price. You know, his customers are that of an inferior quality. and they are in a particular demographic where they will ensure that you go broke. And I understand some things you're gonna have to do to be able to do to make money, but it becomes that crab in the barrel mentality. The Anyway, I'm at the part store. I'm at the counter. The the mechanic is there with his client, and I was telling him I like to talk about the jobs that I'm working on with other mechanics, so to get them to loosen up and tell them about some complex stuff. It's kind of like manipulative. I want to use you a little bit. Let me talk about some complex stuff. Maybe we can bounce some stuff off each other. We're gonna learn from each other. Like Bill Nye. Everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. I take that literally. So let's swap some stories. Maybe we can learn something from each other. Anyway, we got talking. Told him how much I charged the guy. His customer, oh hell no, he speaks in phrases and colloquials and bits and spurts, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, he did. He didn't formulate a real sentence at any point in time, nor did he ask questions and inquire what vehicle I was working on. I'd imagine, because I don't think he heard. Maybe he did hear the conversation, maybe he didn't. Anyway, I told him how much I charged to. Well, he didn't ask about the labor time, because I'm pretty sure he heard the car I was working on. And he was like, "Oh hell no, man! I would never pay that much to put a starter on the car." And I was like, "Okay." And I started asking questions like, "Well, why wouldn't you pay that to put a starter on the car? It's just too much, man. I ain't paying all that, put no starter on the car. I find somebody." But that's the guy's client. Imagine if he feels that way about what somebody was willing to pay and they got taken care of. Now, mind you, when this car came back 7 days later, he had to pay for a tow. Well, and I had to put a starter back on that car. And it was within the year, 7 days. He paid $125 for a tow. That man got reimbursed for that. I paid him back fully. I filed a labor claim. I got compensated for that. And I got compensated for the tow that I paid the customer. He got made whole again. It was inconveniencing on both of our behalf. Unfortunately, more on his, but he got taken care of. Now imagine that guy's customer, and that guy's customer not wanting to pay that mechanic to go back over that job, and he charged him, let's just say $100. Okay, because the mechanic told me, well, somebody wanted me to put a starter on that car and was wanting to pay me $100. What kind of work quality is a person gonna do for $100 for like a 6-hour job? I mean, it was a 6 hour. That's the time quoted. It was a pretty extensive. If you follow the book, that's the labor guide. I'm like, so what's the quality of work? You don't get all your bolts put back. You don't get no bolts cross-threaded. Are you gonna get the gaskets put on, or what are you getting? Are you gonna get a warranty on it? But this man like allowed that customer to dictate what he was worth. And I've heard that before, from other mechanics. Well, what do you think is worth? Just pay me what you think is worth. The customer don't know. So, and that's another bad thing. I want to say when customers arm themselves with information. That's another topic. But anyway, that man was willing to pay that mechanic $100 to do that job. And that mechanic didn't have a labor guide. If he don't have a labor guide, well, how he's going to know what's the work? He don't even, he going to Google it and figure out what everybody else did and still probably get screwed because, he don't even know. There's so many other things. Is it rusted? Is it not rusted? There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration. But that cost, when he charges that price, that has to go towards tools. That has to go towards like time that has to go towards, you know, hopefully he's covering his ass in case something goes wrong. He should have to shell out some money. Unfortunately, it's going to have to come out on his end. It happens. You know, who knows? Who knows? But I'd imagine things are priced accordingly. I mean, quality is going to usually be respective of it. But anyway, the guy was like I said, he couldn't formulate a sentence. He was unwilling to think about things rationally because I wanted him to look at things through the mechanic lens of things, and you know, kind of paint the picture of how the guy looked. He couldn't keep his pants up. You know, if he can't articulate himself, keep his pants up, you kind of get the idea what kind of area I'm in. And that interaction has kind of never left me on a couple of reasons, but one of the ongoing things is, you know, can you pay for quality? Can you throw money at a problem? I mean, even then, are people actually legitimately getting their money's worth when it comes to just personal things? I mean, I have to be on both end of things. I have to make sure these people get what they're worth, and I have to make sure I get what I'm worth. You know, because I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times, and this is where that niche come into play. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of smart people out here. I mean, people are intelligent, but you got a lot of dumb motherfuckers too. You get but one thing I know is this: a lot of people don't take the time out to diagnose these vehicles. Just like I mean, it happens. I don't discourage anyone from working on their car. I'm totally fine with. I had a car come in. It was a cop. He worked on his own vehicle, put his own tie rods in, and he dropped it off. And then when I took the vehicle on a test drive to see what he was referring to, because it just didn't go straight, I lie to you not, the steering wheel, it had binded. It just wouldn't. I went straight, and then the wheels went one way. And the inner tie rod was not attached. I don't know how he drove over here, but he made it. Don't know how, but he did. But you know, you can get the worst case scenarios about things when people working on vehicles. And you get a lot of people that shoot parts at it. Just one today, you know, guy threw a computer at the Ford. He threw various electrical components, the wipers. He threw a switch. It was a wiper switch. So he replaced the body control module because his wipers didn't work. He replaced the wiper assembly and turn signal switch. I think the light switch, still was a couple of things. Hundreds of dollars. Got it programmed and everything. I get the car, diagnose it in an hour. Wound up being a blown fuse for the most part. But the fuel pump had failed. It was actually this right here. This part. You know, this had failed, knocking one of the fuses offline, causing chaos. You know, he paid for the diagnostic costs, and he paid to get the unit. Well, he hasn't paid yet, but the unit's fixed. But all that money that he wasted could have went towards somebody checking everything, and doing a thorough check to isolate, trying to narrow down the problem as much as possible, what they're willing to pay for at time, and go from there. I had like the Mazda, the one that went through 3 shops, 3 years, no resolution. I mean, these are just recent. I mean, I get a lot of stuff that I just don't upload. I'm just not that kind of guy to just like thrive for attention or anything. You know, I'll just figure, oh, this is going to be interesting. Let me just do a video on it, and then just get uploaded. But, you know, anybody could just change parts at it. But when I'm kind of like that last guy, all right, I can't fix this. Send it to Brad. So then I get it. But I mean, the problem is, like, after everybody done lost hope and everybody done tapped out of spending money, now they got to spend the money to get it checked just to try to get it fixed. And that's where the reputation come into play, because it's more pressure on you because now you have to be accurate. You know, on the other end, you got people who don't care about being accurate. Got a car from. I work on a ladies' vehicles too when they get complex stuff. She worked at a shop, one of the larger chain shops, and she's like, "My mechanics are incompetent," and just be like that. They diagnose things, charge them, and they're wrong. I had got a car from one of these large shops that the guy called and said, "Hey, they said I need it was a van. That's what it was. One of those painters Mexican work vans. He needed his AC didn't work, and they claimed he needed a climate control unit with the dials and all that stuff. I explained to him I'm not responsible for it being incorrect. I'll install it. He understood. He paid a couple $100. I think it was like $400 parts and labor to install this, and it didn't work. I said, well, here's the diagnostic cost and see what it actually needs. And he paid for the diagnostic cost. 20 minutes later, he needed a $40 part. This is a $40 part. I haven't worked on that guy's car since, though, man. This was several months ago. It was last summer. It's like about a year, about 8 months, 9 months ago. But yeah, you I don't like I said. This is really like on the script. Like, what does a mechanic do? Like, do you want that a person just want to change parts and be satisfied with that? Just like the lady, the manager at the shop that I'm referring to, because she did tell me. I'm not telling you the name of the shop, but she said the managers want us to just do basic stuff. I mean, they'll do a diagnostic. They'll charge for that, but they'll just give them an exuberant price. And if they pay it, they'll do it. But these larger shops have immunity to being wrong. Like, you can't. It's okay for a dealership to be wrong because these are the larger entities. I mean, they made it. They're like spectacular. No, the small guys like, no, you don't have any leniency. So, you fuck up, you fuck up. And that's why I'm saying the pressure is going to be more on the independent person, more on these larger shops. And I think that a lot of other people expect that low expectations because they don't have that large entity backing them. And I can understand where, it's acceptable to have sacrificing qualities or dwindling qualities because it's expected. Who are you? You're just a mechanic. You don't work for any large place. A lot of people are superficial. Any con artist can sit there and hand you a card and be in the business suit. Anybody can do that and still fuck you over in your money too. So, and dealerships do it. That's why they call it a dealership. Automotive industry is ever growing. These cars are becoming a lot more complex than ever. And I'm just curious, like, what does everybody else do to ensure that they stay in business? I mean, like me, I behind the scenes, I back test little components. I got a pile of old sensors, reverse engineer it, test it, see how it works, see if I can simulate it. I try to educate myself and stay up to date. Do you read information just on your free time as far as the theory of operation on vehicles? That's another good thing about Identifix. Definitely not advertising them, but they are very useful. Have a source of information. I knew one shop that I went over there to. That was the video. Oh, yeah, it was that video that I went to diagnose the Volvo because they put a brake booster on it and it didn't work, and they had me come over and diagnose that car, and I did a video on it. It wound up being a bad used part. I think it was a brand new, and I want to say it was brand new, but basically the seal inside the brake booster failed. But they had a source of information, but they got rid of it. I don't know how people live without a factory service information. That is like the basics. Having a bidirectional scan tool, having factory service information is a must. The two basic minimums. I mean, I talk too damn much, but I'm gonna tell you, if what I say, if what is necessary? Do you charge for diagnosis? Do you have a particular hourly labor rate? Do you remove the diagnostic costs when you start doing the job, which is crazy, insane to me, because you still got to pay for your time that you spent diagnosing the car? Or do you keep the diagnostic costs and the price of parts and labor for the future repair, even if you repair it the same day? I mean, can you get away with that? I talked to one guy online. He said they couldn't get away with that in their demographic. I know some people that charge $40 an hour to diagnose a vehicle. Do you think paying more is better? Do you think paying less is better? I mean, hell, even on the giving and the receiving, I think I said it right. For the sake of not confusing myself, even on the customer, or the patron end, or the mechanic's end, is a mechanic right for charging for diagnostic costs? Is a mechanic wrong for charging for diagnostic? Is a customer wrong for not willing to see your worth in charging for diagnostic costs? I don't think we can. I don't. You know who you are. Who said this? He said, "A man never went out of business for charging too much." You know who said that? But now I'm not saying screw people over, but I mean, people should be charged appropriately. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, but how do you do that? Who's that to dictate? People go to the dealership all the time and pay these, I would consider, high-ass prices. I've been to the dealership and I saw AutoZone parts or Duralast parts on the counter. And sometimes they'll cross-reference over to Honda parts or other manufacturer parts. Went to Dodge. No, was it Nissan? Why am I seeing AutoZone parts up there? I don't know. So like, what do you do? But they're probably going to charge like 8 times the value of it. But people go to these dealerships and pay these prices. Are they wrong for that? You know, I've had mechanics that I've known that I don't know them personally. I've had it happen to me. I've given a quote and somebody say, well, they say that's too expensive. Well, that's my price. Go to the dealership. You know, okay, let me go back to that same vehicle, that Lexus. The dealership was going to charge them about 2.5 times what I was going to charge them. It was about $2,000 or something like that to put that starter. It was something crazy from what he told me. I don't say 2.5 times because they were going to charge double, a little bit over double, and same quality parts, I guess, sort of. You know my relationship with O'Reilly's. Parts are bittersweet, but they weren't happy with that price. But I gave them something competitive. In some cases, that's beneficial. They already got a higher price. You give them a more reasonable price, but you don't lowball yourself. I had one person tell me a long time ago, because this was years ago. I referred my cousin's shop to this girl. I'm like, oh, my cousin can do brakes for such and such. Like, why are they so cheap? This person felt as though if they paid more, she would get better quality. So it's such an array of clientele. I guess it's enough to be able to suit everyone's business model. Cars are always coming on this road. People are always buying cars. Every year, it's the same story. People go to these dealerships, buy these crappy ass cars. They start breaking after the payments start. They start finish up on payments. Sometimes shit. I known a girl, went to go look at the car. It was perfectly fine. She blew the motor in 2 weeks. So it was a Hyundai. It was the older ones, not the new ones, the older ones. So what do you do? I don't know. It's just this free thought here. My mind's, I'll tell you, when I tell you it's chaotic, it's chaotic. I think about a lot of stuff and I'm totally aimless. It's like some of the people in my videos, like, you talk too much. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think I'm probably like 30 minutes into this. I got a lot of other stories though. But anyway, hey, hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, head over to some more work. See you on the next one.